3, 2, and welcome to Lunch Break Live. We are here with Chef Talia Fuhrman. What are you making today?
Pumpkin cookie dough bread. It's one of my favorite fall recipes from my Desserts to Live For cookbook. I'm so excited to show you guys how to make it yourself.
Woo, let's get cooking. Take it away.
All right, sounds great. So all of my recipes contain only good for you ingredients, and that includes the way that I sweeten them. So I came out with this healthy desserts cookbook called Desserts to Live For. You can see right here, and this is the recipe I'm making for you guys right now. It's called pumpkin dough bread, dough for like cookie dough in the cookbook, and you can see this beautiful picture of the bread that we're making today for you guys. So what I do with a lot of the recipes in the cookbook, including this bread, is I start by making my egg substitute. So a lot of bakers that are into eating a plant-based lifestyle know that flax seeds and chia seeds are phenomenal egg substitutes. And for those novice bakers, I can show you guys that it is so easy to make your egg. So what you're going to do that is you're going to take a cup that I have in front of me, and then you're going to take, in this particular recipe, I use the equivalent of 2 eggs. So that is going to be just 2 heaping tablespoons of flax seeds. It's 1 heaping tablespoon per egg. And then I am going to be mixing it with water. You can also mix it with non-dairy milk. And I use, so for 2 heaping tablespoons of flax seeds, I use about 1/2 cup of water or non-dairy milk. So I'm just going to put that, I have my faucet right here. I'm leaving the screen for a sec here, but only to put the liquid in here for the flax seeds. I'm gonna move my computer up just a tad, and then you stir it and you let it sit, and then you're on to the next step. So it's super quick, and the flax seeds only take less than a minute to gel. It's fantastic that it's so easy. Everything about this recipe is easy, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to show you guys, because it is equally as easy as it is absolutely delicious. And Paige, are you as excited about fall as I am? Because I love this time of year. I love like everything pumpkin. There's pumpkin spice in this recipe, and it's like because I call it cookie dough. It really does have like this melt in your mouth, like not completely firm consistency. So it is very much a sweet bread. And so what I'm doing right now is I have medjool dates, and they're like my dream sweetener in a lot of my recipes in my book, because they taste just like sugar in the actual final product. But you're getting incredible health benefits rather than the detrimental effects of conventional sugar. Whole fruit is my philosophy, and it's my philosophy on how to make truly healthy desserts for a reason. So my background, if I can tell you, Paige and listeners, is in nutrition. I studied nutrition at Cornell University, and then my father is Dr. Joel Fuhrman, MD. So a well-known nutritional expert / medical doctor in his own right. So I grew up learning all about the power of food to prevent and reverse disease, and how eating the wrong foods contribute to disease. And so I feel like the knowledge that I was given, everybody deserves to have, of course. And so I've, in setting out to make dessert recipes like this one, I want to show people that you can have like treats that you see at Starbucks, but not put your health at risk. And that's just such a win-win, and it's such a beautiful thing, and that's why I'm so passionate. So while I've been talking to you guys, I have cut up all the medjool dates I'm using. So I use 12 total for this recipe, and there's about 12 servings in this bread. So it's basically like when you're eating a slice, you're getting 1 medjool date per serving, which is like nothing. It's really not putting stress on your digestive system, and I love also how well, when it's healthy, it digests so well. So, hi. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome, everybody. I know. I thought I'd pop in and say hello. Thank you for joining us here on Lunch Break Live. You are going to be having the best pumpkin dough recipe bread ever. Oh my gosh, this is Talia Fuhrman. She has 2 books, not just one, but 2. And take it back to you.
Thanks so much, Paige. Yes, my first book is called Love Your Body, and that's a positive psychology and nutrition book. And I talk about the health benefits of foods like medjool dates and the other ingredients I'm using. And so what I just did was I just put the 12 medjool dates that I just pitted them, and I just put them in water. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to be putting these dates in the microwave for only 30 seconds. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want these dates to be super soft. And that's what heating them up in water is going to accomplish. So I'm going to drain them of the water, and then I'm going to put them in my food processor right here. So it just blends super nice and easy with all the other liquid ingredients I'm just about to use. And that is how we get the sweetness in this, in addition to the pumpkin in this bread. I do also use a banana. I'm thinking about that, how that adds sweetener to it as well. And so it's so phenomenal to eat a dessert that is only sweetened with whole fruit. That's like, but not taste that way, to taste decadent and even bad for you. It's
Oh my gosh. Tom wants to make the point that you could probably eat this raw, and how delicious that would be as well.
I was eating the batter before this as I was putting it in the pan. So I'm draining the water here, and I'm putting it in my food processor.
All right. So if you missed any portion of this, those of you that are just joining us, we are live with Lunch Break Live. We are a daily cooking show. We come to you live every day from 12:30 to 1 o'clock Pacific time. These recipes and thousands others, printable recipes, will be available on janeonjane.com. And we're so blessed that Talia is giving us this beautiful time, spending this time with us. This is her second time. She'll be coming back for more. And you can find that last recipe plus this one. And oh my gosh, that is on janeonjane.com. But guess what? She has 2 books and 1 full of dessert recipes. But back to you, because I think we're going to get a blender dance. Take it away.
So I am putting my flaxseed eggs in the blender right now. So they, for anyone that just started tuning in, I put them in water. I let them sit for just a minute, a couple minutes. It's brown flax seeds are not only just for the chemistry of baking, an ideal baking substitute, but they're so protective against breast cancer and prostate cancer with their incredible, it's called a nutrient called lignans, which is a type of phytoestrogen. And the science of why it prevents breast cancer and prostate cancer is fascinating. I won't talk about too much about that here, but we can just say that flax seeds are a true superfood. So you're going to notice that I'm using a lot of superfood ingredients. So let's continue. So what I do after I put in the medjool date, I'm looking at the recipe right now, and my next step is to add, believe it or not, white beans. So you can use any white bean. I use cannelli beans here. It's what I had in my house, just Whole Foods Market cannelli beans. And beans are just so incredibly nutritious. I find the science of nutrition absolutely fascinating for a reason. And so it says that I use 1 cup of beans in this recipe, just double checking to make sure I'm using the proper amount. And what is so incredible about beans, and by the way, if for anyone curious about if you can taste them in the bread, you can't. It does add to the cookie dough like texture. But if you're, wondering like, oh, that's gross, or like, why are you adding beans to dessert? Trust me, you can't taste them. And it actually, the whole bread, the final product is actually like melt in your mouth amazing. So you won't expect it, but it does add health properties to this recipe that I am such a big fan of. One thing about, these beans, which I'm adding the beans in addition to the flax seeds and the medjool dates. So they're going to be all going in the blender with a banana. So I have bananas that are not completely ripe right in front of me, so I don't want to use them because I'm just waiting for them to be ripe. So I actually realized I have bananas in my freezer that I froze, so I'm just going to get one out of there. Apologize for not being on the screen for a second, but I'm going to put it in the microwave and it's frozen. So, so what I'm doing right now is, what was that?
I said, no worries. This is so fun. Awesome. And by the way, the reason that, if you're wondering how Talia is so knowledgeable, she's a graduate of Cornell University. I got to give you a big hand there. Plus, she grew up in nutrition, right? And then you grew up with your mom and your dad who are nutrition experts in the plant-based space. So continue on.
All right. So yes. So I was talking about beans, all types of beans, in addition to lentils. So they contain a type of fiber called resistant starch. And what resistant starch implies is that our stomach acids do not digest this type of starch, hence resistance. And so ultimately, this slows down digestion. And for us, it's awesome if you're trying to keep at an ideal weight, because when you consume beans, you only consume about 2/3 of, like, your body digests only about 2/3 of the calories that you'll see on the can. So there's like no other food, or very few foods that are like beans in this regard, where you see the calorie count on the can and you only absorb about 2/3 of them. And this type of fiber resistant starch is also prevents heart disease and other types of diseases too. My dad, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, likes to talk about how there's this study done on elderly people that has found that the #1 food that promotes longevity in your elderly years, so like older people eating beans on a regular basis, versus other types of foods, beans promoted longevity more than the other foods in the study. I should find that study, but my dad loves to talk about it for a reason. It's so cool, just demonstrating that adding beans to this recipe is a really good idea for health purposes and taste purposes. I just talked about how it adds to the cookie dough texture. So next step, I took the banana out of the microwave, just opening to show you, and then I put it in here, and now we're going to do the blender dance. Is right here at the top, and so it's basically a lot of my liquid ingredients is what I'm blending right now, and so it'll make when we add the other ingredients, it's just going to blend really smoothly in the food processor. So Paige, are you ready for the blender dance?
Oh my gosh, we're so ready. Go for it. Let's go. Everybody move around and move in your seats. Woo-hoo!
I'm not really a dancer, I'm a baker. All right. I shouldn't say that I'm not a dancer, I'm a baker, because I don't dance publicly or professionally, but I do dance in my house by myself all the time. So that was, I don't know, that was a little bit.
That was so fun. Are you kidding me? We love it. It's movement. Betty Ann Cornwell wants to know, is this recipe in your book?
Yes, that's what I'm showing you guys. So it's on page 97 of the Desserts to Live For cookbook, which is available on my father's website, drfuhrman.com, Dr. and then Fuhrman. I know Paige, you guys, Paige will hook you up with the link too. You can also Google the name of the cookbook, Desserts to Live For, and my name, and you will find where to buy the book as well. It's not on Amazon yet. It's going to be on Amazon probably in 6 months, but for now, you can find it on drfuhrman.com. And I'm going to get you guys a 10% off coupon code page that I will send to you. And I know you can give to listeners after this.
Love it.
So, okay, we'll continue. All right, so we blended a lot of the liquid ingredients. My next step that I take usually in the process of making cookies, breads, muffins, all of this, is I actually add the spices now. And I do it not at the end, and I do it now because I want it to be all of the spices thoroughly blended in throughout the bread. And so I think it's like a clever little move, so that way spices are totally dispersed. So I use ground vanilla bean. You can use a number of different brands. This is the brand that I happen to have in the house right now. I have actually 2 packages of ground vanilla. in my house right now because I use it so often, and I use it in addition to or as a replacement for vanilla extract, because vanilla bean powder is not only better for you, but it's much more flavorful. And there's something about the taste of ground vanilla in a bread that is hard to be, you can't get that with vanilla extract in my experience. So I put that in. I put, this recipe calls for, so 1.5 teaspoons vanilla bean, and then also a teaspoon of cinnamon, a teaspoon of nutmeg. So I'm giving rough estimates for you guys, putting it in here. And then I have my nutmeg. This recipe also calls for pumpkin spice. I am out of pumpkin spice right now, so I'm putting in, actually I have ginger. So there is ginger usually in pumpkin spice. So I'm doing a little improvising, but not too much, just making do with what I've got here. But yeah, I love that the flavors of pumpkin in the fall with these spices is just one of my favorite things ever. It's just so fall is actually one of my favorite seasons, or my favorite season living in Southern California. It's just like the air here is so fresh and beautiful. So I put in the spices. I'm putting in the baking powder now too. This recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So I'm putting that in as well. And then I'm gonna do the blender dance again. So we get all those spices and the baking powder evenly in. So there we go. All right, that was good enough. All right, so got that going on. That was super quick. I am going to be adding pumpkin at this point, the pumpkin part of the pumpkin bread. So I have some unopened organic pumpkin right here, and I think I actually might have some in my refrigerator that's already opened. Yes, I do. Okay, so I just got open pumpkin in my refrigerator. So this recipe calls for a cup of pumpkin, and so I'm like, I can't wait to eat it. I'm making it now, and I'm just like,
yes. Okay, we have a quick question from Stacy. She wants to know, why is vanilla bean extract better? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so ground vanilla is better than vanilla extract. So it's vanilla extract is more processed. It's an extract. It's kind of like talking about whole coffee beans versus like coffee extract. You're just going to get more like vanilla bean powder is you're getting the whole vanilla and all of the nutrients and that whole food. Whereas with the extracts, you're just not. Does that make sense?
That makes great sense. I love it. And we are definitely all about the whole foods.
Yeah, that's just how nutrition tends to work is, emphasis on the unprocessed whole food for the optimal health benefits. Got a cup of the pumpkin, putting that in the blender. I'm going to put the blender on again real quick. And then we're going to be adding the dry ingredients, the flours, and all of that jazz. And what I love about this recipe is that you can make it gluten-free. It doesn't have to be gluten-free. It just depends on the flour that you use. But I give, there's options. And so, all right, so put in the pumpkin. And now the blender is going to go on real quick again. And then we'll be ready for the next step. So it's quick. It's to blend in one ingredient is not a fast process, it is a fast process. Okay, so next step is I use almond flour. So I'm looking at here. I'm just gonna adjust that for a second. So almond flour is just ground up almonds, and almonds are all nuts and seeds, really, really healthy. So I use a half a cup of almonds in this recipe, and then I also, so what would differentiate it between gluten-free and not gluten-free is the other type of flour. I have whole wheat flour in my house right now, which does contain gluten, so I'm not going to be making the gluten-free version, but you can easily substitute oat flour, and oat flour is oats are naturally gluten-free, and sometimes oat flour is processed in plants that also process flours like whole wheat flour, and so sometimes you'll see oat flour sold in the store that'll say gluten-free oat flour, just to make sure that you know that it's not processed with other types of flours that contain gluten, just if people are curious about that. But essentially, oat flour itself is gluten-free. And you'll notice, and I just mentioned, just to clarify, that I'm using whole wheat flour today, but you can also use oat flour if you do want to make your own version that it is gluten-free. Does that make sense? Good.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. And we just have a question of curiosity. Stacy's wondering if you buy all your flour in person or do you get it online?
Both. Yeah, it just depends on what's going on in my life, and like if I'm already at the health food store or know that I'm going. If I know that I just want to bake and I can just make it on Amazon, and I don't feel like going to the store, then I'll just buy it on Amazon. And where I live, you can get an Amazon Fresh delivery like the same day. It's wild. Like I'll order groceries on Amazon Fresh in the morning and it'll come at like 1 p.m. It's just absolutely so convenient, and it's like the same price as, or if not cheaper than, the grocery store. So yeah, it depends on just my life and what's going on, and I know that I'm lucky. I know Amazon Fresh does not deliver everywhere. So
tell us, are we going to get another blender dance? We've got more blending, don't we?
We do right now, actually, Paige.
All righty. We're so excited about that. Welcome, everybody, again. This is the kind of dough you can eat raw. Take it away.
Oh, yeah. Now, this blender is going to be on a little bit longer because I just put a lot of flour in there. So our dough is coming alive. I wish I had my dog right now, Paige. He's right over there. Should I get him for the blender dance? Well, I'll introduce Petey. I'll be right back just 1 second.
All right, everybody, welcome to Lunch Break Live. Yes, we are doing a blender dance. We are having fun with this recipe. Yes, yes, yes. And you too can join at home doing your own blender dance. You can sit, you can stand, you can shake it up. Oh boy, this is a long blender action here. Oh, she brought her puppy. Here we go. How cute.
Doing the blender dance.
Love it. That's so cute.
I'm taking advantage of him a little bit right now. He's a 4-year-old Mountie too. He's my best friend. So, yeah, he can even eat. Petey eats plant-based too. He's a healthy boy. All right.
So cute.
Okay, so we've got a nice dough going on here. All right, taking it off the blender. Okay, I would take it off the blender, but sometimes it gets a little stuck when it's like a thick dough. Like, oh, it's coming off. It's coming off. I got lucky. So I could scrape the sides, but you can see this is the dough that I've just created. And what I'm going to do is I have a bowl right here. So I'm going to put it in the bowl and start doing a little bit of the final steps here before it's ready to go into the loaf pan and into the oven. So you can see that it's really easy, and that's the message that I want to share, is that baking can be super fun. Like, I listen to my favorite like upbeat music, or I watch a movie, podcast. You can, like, baking can be so relaxing. You can do it with friends or kids. Like I started loving baking when I was just a kid, and you could do it with your friends. And what I love is like one of the biggest motivators I have in doing a healthy desserts cookbook is giving, I really care about the health of children. They don't have choice in a lot of what, parents feed them. And it really breaks my heart when parents just are, don't know, there's just, most of us are not taught proper nutrition growing up, and most of us don't know, what to feed our kids to really keep them healthy. And so I just love that a lot of these recipes are just like mothers can make them for their kids, make them with their kids. There's just so much to be said about that. But, what if you feed your child like a healthy treat and to them, it just tastes great. And you can even talk to them about like why it's good for you and how important that is. And that's one thing that I'm, eternally grateful to with my parents is that they did raise me that way. And that's just one of the most priceless gifts I've been given. So, it's a really big deal to say the least. All right. So I put the dough in the bowl here, and I also am going to be putting in some whole oats. Just in this recipe, you don't have to put in whole oats actually, but I put that in as an option, and it just it adds some new dimensions to the texture and so all of that good stuff. So I was just looking around for my my measuring cups, and they're right here behind me. So I put in 1.5 cups of oats, and I also put 1/2 cup of dark chocolate chips. So it's gonna be super yummy. Having the banana in there with the pumpkin and the chocolate chips, it's so good. It's just as delicious, if not more delicious, than anything you could buy at I don't know how people feel about like places like Starbucks and whether or not they look appetizing even. The people that have been eating plant-based for a while, I know when I see conventional baked goods in my grocery store, I don't even view it as food anymore, Paige, because I'm just like, it's like cardboard to me, honestly.
Fresh baked is the best. I can't wait. Go for it.
Yeah, fresh baked is truly the most delicious. And all right, so I realized that I think I put my sorry that I keep leaving the screen, but I'm getting my dark chocolate chips, and might have actually put them out.
Wow, thank you so much for joining us here on Lunch Break Live, everybody. We're almost ready to see product. Yes.
Okay. So for the purposes of time, I can't find the chocolate chips. They're here somewhere. I just don't know where they are. But we'll pretend I put them in, and then we're going to stir all the ingredients together evenly, and then we're going to put it in a bread pan. So mixing in the oats and the hypothetical chocolate chips and into this dough evenly. And then you will see from the bread that I have out here that you're going to put it in a loaf pan, and I top it with a sliced banana for the purposes of deliciousness and looks, and chocolate on top. So it's this is what I made today. As you can see in the book, I made it look very pretty. And you can see this picture here. It is, I have a lot of fun with food photography, and it is just as delicious as it looks. And there's 96 recipes in the cookbook. And so this is just one of many. And I love that, like, you can find any type of dessert like that your heart desires with so many recipes. And if you're a pumpkin lover like me during the fall, I have a pumpkin butter layer cake. I'm trying to get it to be the picture in the center there. So I just have so much fun this time of year I love chocolate and yeah, all of that good stuff. So
hey, Talia, can you just show us really quickly? Can you show us the bowl of your mixing? We just want to see. We weren't able to watch you mix it, so we just want to see it up. Can you hold the bowl up so we can see it? And then, thank you so much. And then also, do you mind? There it is, everybody. Oh my gosh, so she's mixing it up. It's beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. And Tom wants to know, do you spray the pan with anything? Just want to ask that real quickly.
Yeah, I actually do. So just a very, very little bit. I have some spray olive oil once I spray just a little bit. You don't have to, because there's also nonstick pans, but it just depends on the pan that I'm using, and I'm in the process of moving, and so I didn't have nonstick today. So I did put just to make my cleanup easier, I did put tin foil in the loaf pan, and then once I sprayed just a little bit of olive oil, I just wiped it down with a paper towel, so it's just such a very thin layer. It's such a minuscule amount, and it just makes a little bit easier to take from the tin foil.
No. Oh my gosh, this was so great. And Stacy Anderson wanted you to know this woman is wonderful. Thank you for letting us into your place today. Tom says more segments, please. Betty Ann says, thank you, ladies. We just want to acknowledge everyone for watching today. Can you show us oh yeah, there's the batter. You know that's edible batter, right?
But it's like a cookie dough pumpkin batter, and all these fall spices, pumpkin spice. It's so good.
Amazing. We want to thank Khalil and Tina for watching today with us, as well as Kat, Stacy, like I said, and oh my gosh, all the other viewers that are watching. Thank you for joining us today, Michelle and Chelsea. We really acknowledge you, and thank you so much for being with us and for showing us the way. Can you show us the finished product one more time, and how long do we cook it?
Yes, it still has a little bit of baking left to do in the oven, but it is almost all finished. I'm touching it to see if I can for safety. So this yummy, yummy pumpkin bread with a banana and chocolate on top. I did a chocolate layer of banana there. It is just a melt in your mouth divine.
Awesome, Talia. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here. We'll see you next time. No reason not to go vegan. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.